Hey everybody, Steve Burns here. Now we understand perspective, especially 1 point through 3 point perspective, the rules and what you're getting visually. Now we're going to apply a practical application. What I'd like you to do is to create a new document. Now this is in HD, and I'm going to go to my File menu, New menu, and what I did was I selected Film and Video in the document. I think by default it says Photoshop size, but I went over to Film and Video and I target it under the size HD TV 1080p. Okay, so once that's chosen, open up your document and this is what you should see. You're going to get guides with it. Let's go ahead and get rid of the guides under the view menu, show, and also uncheck the guides. Now you could do hide command, which is command or control H, but that's simply hiding them. This way you get rid of them permanently. Now, let's go ahead and establish our horizon line. Now, this is where we're going to start thinking, how do we want to see our skyscraper scene here, which is what we're going to create. A skyscraper cityscape utilizing vector shapes. Why vector shapes? Because we can manipulate them, they're non-destructive, make changes anytime we want, we won't lose resolution. And this is what we're going to do just as an exercise. Now, some of you are probably used to drawing and painting. We could do that, and we are going to do that later on. For right now, let's work with vector shapes. So let's follow the assignment here. We're going to go to our vector tools in the toolbar. And right down here, you see these four shapes, these four right over here with the text tool. This is your vector symbols. I'm going to come right below the T for the text, click and hold, and I'm going to grab the rectangle. Now I want to establish my horizon line. So I'm thinking maybe let's view it from the bottom up a little bit. So I'm going to put the horizon line closer to the base of my document. And of course, that brings back my guides. Now, if that happens, then we hit the V key as in Victor, and we can just go ahead and just drag these things individually off our document, since the getting rid of the guides didn't exactly delete them all, but simply temporarily hid them. So I'll keep that line there for my, there we go, for the horizon line. They're all gone. Now let's establish our vanishing points. Now, the purpose of this tutorial is to create a wide angle view, okay, a wide angle perspective. Now, don't forget that anything when your vanishing points are closer to your document bounds. The document bounds mean the edge of our document here, as we can see, the more wide angle it's going to be. So I'm going to bring it fairly close. And I'm going to go grab the other one, and I'm going to keep it fairly close, but probably just offset it just a little bit, probably right about there. Okay, so that we see the skyscraper scene from a little bit of an angle. All right, now we're going to establish our vanishing grid here, or vanishing point line. So we have the points established, we have the horizon line established. Go back to our vector tools. Let's go over here and grab the polygon tool. It should still be in the same options that we established before to create our vanishing point line. So I'm going to come right over here, click and drag, and there we are. Okay, there's one. Let's go to the other side, click and drag, and there's the other. Okay, now select them both, layers, Command or Control G to group them, and we'll just call this perspective so we can stay organized. All right, once they're inside, let's go ahead and make our colors for the lines here. It's going to get in a little bit closer. How about the red side, the right hand side is going to be a green. I'll tell you about, how about red on the right and blue on the left. So let's see, I'm going to click and release. Okay, that's the right hand side. Double click on the blank side of the layer, and we're going to establish a stroke. There it is. It's gray. I'm going to target the color here and establish a pure red there. Let's do the same thing to the other side. Option or Alt, drag that right on top of the other. Go to the stroke, double click on it, establish a different color. Instead of red, let's go to something like a blue there. Okay. All right, now it's inside a layer group, right? So I'm going to target the group, cascade it up so it's not in the way visually. I'm going to give this a little more space down here and bring down the opacity a little bit so that we can see. Now everything that we create is going to be beneath this grid. Now when I've been teaching this to students before in the past, sometimes they have a habit of creating their vector shapes above the grid and they have a tough time following where the perspective is going to be and they're off. So create below the grid so you can turn it off and on and see your results. So I'm going to target the background color. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this layer. I'm going to create a brand new adjustment layer, solid color, make the color white. There it is. Okay, and I can just click on the background and get rid of it. I don't need it anymore. All right, so there we are. We have a solid fill underneath here. Let's go ahead and pull this down a little bit using my spacebar Alt option. And let's create our first building. Okay, I'm going to go over here to my rectangle tool. And this is going to be a horizon line, okay, right about here. And let's go ahead and just make this simple skyscraper, or the beginning of a skyscraper. I'm going to put it right about there. I'm going to bring it close to the base of the horizon line. Now come over here, grab our direct select tool and get in close and start creating. So I'm just using my imagination at this point. Select this point and we're going to match the perspective of that blue line, right? You can see the blue line right in front. And if that's a little bit too light for you, we can always go back to perspective. There's 14% opacity. I can bring it up just slightly. There we go. So I can see it a little bit easier. Go down to the bottom. Let's make sure the bottom conforms to the blue lines as well. So select this, go back to my rectangle. And now I'm going to give you a little trick here. Now this is going to be pretty close here. It's going to be pretty close to the base because it's so close to the horizon line. It's going to be almost fairly close to the base there. It's going to flatten out. As you get closer to the horizon line, it's going to flatten out. And since these two are pretty much going to be on the horizon line, they should fit right on there. All right, there we are. Now I'm going to put this in the group. I'm going to hit the Command G. Okay, so now that one is inside the group, and we're going to call this one Building 1. Now I'm not going to name individual layers, but you will, as a workflow, in a practical workflow, you're going to name them in groups. You're going to put each individual building in its own group. So there's building number 1. Okay. Now I want to establish the front side of the building, and I can make it a little wider, a little thinner. It's my choice. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it brighter in terms of value. In fact, let's make this one a little bit darker in value. I'm going to bring it on down. So what I did was I just double clicked on the vector symbol. Let's go ahead and add another rectangle. Okay. Let's double click that one, bring that up in brighter value. There we are. So we can establish our lighting. All right, so that's our lighting. So establishing your lighting for the homework assignment, this is what I'm talking about, just changing the values of the actual shape. All right, so come over here, path, I'm gonna click on it and I'm gonna just nudge it on over, nudge it up, make sure. Now maybe zoom in closer, get in closer if you want this to be accurate, guys. Don't be lazy about this. You're always zooming in and out. It's not going to be perfect all the time, so I'll come back, get the direct selection tool, the white arrow tool, select those 2 points, bring them down. That's pretty close. Now select this point. Remember, all vertical lines are going to be completely vertical to the right and left side of your document bound. So all I need to do is use the arrow keys to kind of bring this down. Once you start using this method, you're going to get very fast. All right, so there we are. Building 1. There's the first building. Okay. All right. I'm not going to grade you on being super creative, but I'm going to grade you on how, just how well these buildings look in relation to one another. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different. I want the next building to be behind it, but also a little taller. So maybe the building will cut right in the middle. It'll sit right behind this in the middle. It'll come over and then join the ground with the other one. Okay, so I'll go ahead and make another group, and inside that group we're going to create another rectangle. So select it, make the rectangle. Now you notice this group is above, right? So we want that one to be actually slightly below. So double click it, and if you like, I'm giving a name group, it gives it automatically. I'll keep it that way just to save on time, and I don't want to sit here and waste your time renaming everything. But group 2 means building 2, so just keep that in mind. So there is building 2 there. That building's going to go behind the other one, right? Layer positioning, which you guys should already be well familiar with. Grab the group, bring it down below. Be careful that you're not dropping it inside the group, but placing it right below, so you can see here. Now release it, now it's behind it. Okay, let's go ahead and establish our perspective. Come right over here, select it, make sure I'm selecting the right building, the right layer I should say. Let's go to the group 2. There's the layer, target it, get in close, nudge it up to the base of the other, and this one's going to be bigger. So the A key is a shortcut for toggling through my the direct selection as well as my path selection tool. So I'm going to hit the A key, select it. Let's make this tall, nice and tall. Place it here, grab this point, and just arrow down, arrow key down. There we are. Okay. It looks good. In fact, I'm going to change my mind a little bit. I'm going to shorten this up just a little bit. There we are. Good. Grab this point, zoom in close. I'm always moving in and out. Just kind of see how it looks. There we are. Okay. Now we need this to come back behind the building, so we need another shape. Now I want to make sure that this shape is going to match the front here. So double click on it, and since that's sitting back a little bit, let's go ahead and grab that. Now they start to blend a little bit, so we can't see the two. So go ahead and just give a little bit, keep it lighter, but give it a little bit differentiation from the front. There you are. We're going to keep the sides pretty dark. Go ahead and grab the rectangle tool once again and bring it down. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit the A key. Nudge it on over. Let's go ahead and look at this bottom real quick. All right, so the bottom is not quite there, but we're not going to see the bottom, right? So we don't need to really worry about it. So things you're not going to see, don't stress out about it. Just go to the top. I'm going to double click it. Let's give it the same color as the side of this other building. There we are. Hit the A key, go to the white arrow tool. Now I'm hitting the A key to switch between the different tools, which is a shortcut for the direct selection tool. Now by default it's a shift aid if you want to avoid using shift to switch between tools. Command K, command or control K, and then what we're going to do is under the, let's go to the interface. I'm going to workspace. I think it might be under general, and basically it's this use shift option. Okay, there we are. It's under the tools, and here you have the use shift key for tool switch. Just simply uncheck it. All right, it's already unchecked on mine, so I'm going to hit cancel. Everything's conforming to perspective here. We take a look at it. Now we have our second building behind it. All right, and we're going to start building more, more buildings. How about I'm going to place one kind of facing us here with a wider face. There's my rectangle, placing it inside. Okay, I'm going to go to wider face, go to my direct selection tool, get in close, pull that on up, just hitting the arrow key going up. Alright, so there we are. Place this on the ground plane like the other two. There we are. That looks looking good. So like a street's going to be coming, a wide street's going to be in between the two of these buildings. Then I'm going to grab the sides. Now if you're starting to look, this is going to look real distorted, almost like a wide angle lens, which is the reason why I want you to use this, put the points closer to the document bound so that you can see exactly what this is going to look like. Let's go ahead and bring another one right across. Okay, double click it. Let's give it the lighter side. That's going to be the brighter side of the building. Alright, I'm going to just nudge it on over real quick using the arrow keys. That lined up pretty well. Look at the bottom. Select those two. I'm drawing in box and selecting it and bringing it up. Since we're going to see the bottom, we have to make it more accurate. And that looks fairly accurate to the perspective. And now this has to flow with the red, right? Alright, so I'm going to select the single point, bring it down. You look at this point's up here. Here's the red line that's following. This has to follow it too. So the hardest thing to do as a student is realize that you can't do what you want. You have to follow the rules of perspective. See that? Getting that wide angle look in there. I'm going to go over here and just nudge this over to the, there we are, make it a little bit better, get in a little closer, make sure this is accurate. This looks pretty good. Alright, now let's put some windows in here. This is going to be fun. How about if we say about 3 large windows across and maybe 2 large and 2 down in terms of rows. Now I'm going to show you a trick here. I'm going to create a document, not another document, but use a shape here, and I'm going to create a window grid. So I'm going to select it, and let's go ahead and give this color white. I'm going to switch the foreground and background color, but I can change the fill here as well. Right up here in the options bar, go to fill, make it a white fill. In fact, let's go to a very light gray there, a lighter gray than what we have here. Now let's create, what do we want? We want 3 windows across. So 1. Now once I have this, I'm going to go to my black arrow tool, hold the Alt key down, which gives you the plus. It's going to add more to it, and Shift should, see, duplicates it, and Shift constrains it to one area, just one axis. I'm going to go to here. Do it again, Option or Alt, Shift, drag, and you can see that nice little smart guide there is telling you exactly the distance between the two. And if I paid attention to the distance between the other one, I could match it here, but that looks pretty good right there. So those are going to be our windows. And if you notice, it's all in one vector shape. Okay, so if I turn that off and on, there it is. So let's go ahead and bring it on over, select them all. I'm going to put them inside this one. Alright, now let's go ahead and do the same thing. We wanted 3 across and 2 down. In fact, let's make it 4 down, just for giggles. Option Shift. Look at the in between. I've got, if I get closer to 1 inch, do it again. Get close to 1 inch and accomplish it again. Option and Shift. So Option and Alt or Shift. Get close to 1. That's good. Those are going to be our windows. That's going to fit on the front of this face. Now they're inside the same group. Select them all. Resize them. Okay, and we're going to conform it. So Command T. Resize them. Get in close, fill the screen with your document, and this has to flow to the perspective line of which color line? It's going to be the blue, right? So I'm going to start the window right about there. I'm going to match the the distance from the left and the right side. Looks good. If I hold down the Command key, that gives me a distort, and I can just push that on up and distort it so that all of these are going to conform to perspective. Okay, so I'm going to the blue line up here. Down here, I'm going to, again, everything's going to conform to the blue lines there. Okay, this can be pushed up a little more. There. Okay, that looks all right. Hit enter on the keyboard, and now our windows are conforming to perspective. So we have windows on our buildings and everything. So if I add doors or textures, everything is going to conform to perspective.